Hello, hello. Welcome to Beyond Common Business Secrets. I'm your host, Tracey Watts Cirino, and today we have a very fabulous and very special guest, my friend and client, Trish Ahjel Roberts, who helps women leaders discover the path to mind-blowing happiness. Um, to lead with joy, inspire productive teams, and thrive at work and home. She is a transformational coach, leadership trainer, happiness expert, international speaker, and founder of the Mind Blowing Happiness Professional Development Company. She is a best-selling author of 12 Steps to Mind Blowing Happiness, which was endorsed by a common friend we both have, Jack Canfield, Marcy Shimoff, and Alana. I never know how to say her name.
Yama,
Vincent.
Yama.
Uh, her latest book, The Anger Myth, received rare reviews from the Library Journal and Book List and has been translated internationally. Trish speaks professionally on the topics of emotional intelligence, leadership, and wellness. She is a manifestor certified life coach, a master certified life coach. I like that I threw in manifestor for you.
I know.
Registered yoga and meditation instructor and energy healer. With over a decade of Buddhist study, Trish has been featured on CBS TV in Atlanta, WBLS in New York, and V103 FM in Atlanta, and many other media platforms. And Trish is absolutely fabulous, and I'm so excited that she's here. I remember when I first met you, Trish, and your mind blowing happiness had just come out, and I was like, "Oh, I loved you at hello." And then when you told me the title of your book, I'm like, "We're friends. Come here, girl."
Exactly. Yeah, Mind Blowing Happiness had just come out. It was back in 2021.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's such an honor to have you on our show.
It's so exciting to be here with you.
I know. It's really amazing. So I just have to, like, we always keep it real here on Beyond Common Business Secrets. It's like whatever comes up. And the behind the scenes I want to share with people today. So Trish and I had talked a while ago about her coming on the show, and some stuff happened. I think we were both traveling, whatever, life happened.
And rescheduled like 6 times or
Yeah, I know, which
something.
is so rare, right? Because both of us like always are really good about keeping schedule. And it was like, oh, intuitively, like today was the day. Well, it's so funny. One of the questions we get all the time is like, why should someone be a life coach? Like, why should someone hire a life coach? And I remembered that, oh, Trish is on the show today. So, Trish, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, I know I dove into some of it, but I love to hear it in your words.
Mhm.
Share a little bit about your background, and then I would love for us to dive into, why people would hire a life coach.
Yeah. So my story kind of started back in 2010. I had just moved to Atlanta. My daughter was about 9 years old. I was a single mom. I had already been divorced, but then the relationship that I was in also ended. The job was not working out. I really was convinced my boss hated me. And how can you hate this first?
I mean, no one can ever hate you,
Like,
so
it's
just saying.
outrageous.
Like it is that, yeah, that's crazy talk.
My mom had been diagnosed with cancer. It was just like everything wasn't working. And so I came home one day and I sat at the kitchen table and I Googled the word meditation because I was always curious about meditation. And sure enough, I found there was a meditation center that wasn't far from where I worked. I went in there the next day, did my very first meditation on, of all things, death. So they had me repeat the mantra over and over again, I could die today. And I was like, I don't know about this. But the funny thing is, when you come to that reality that life is not permanent, it really makes you start thinking about how you're moving in the world in a different way.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, oh my gosh, what else don't I know? And I found out I can die today. What else don't I know? So I started studying Buddhist philosophy. I had already been practicing yoga. I went ahead and got certified as a yoga instructor. I got my coaching certification. And, I studied for quite a few years, I would say close to a decade before I stepped away from my job as a financial advisor, which I had done for 12 years and got into the space of professional and personal development. So that's how I got here.
I love that. It's so powerful though. I remember one of the biggest life-changing things I did was write like my sort of like when I wrote a letter about what I'd want people to say at my funeral. And that was super powerful. So when you say you're meditated on death, I'm like, yeah, like it's powerful. And I think I even wrote about it in maybe Beyond Comment, one of the books, but telling people to do that because I found it such a breakthrough. It's like the more, it's like surrender. The more that we embrace, whatever, fears we have, it's interesting what pops up for you.
I love that you did that because I've worked with clients where I've recommended that, and some people will go nowhere near the idea, like they really struggle with the idea of writing an obituary or even imagining the time when they're not going to be here.
I
Um,
I can't recall who suggested it. Like I wish I wrote that part down, but I found it so profound
Me
and such a
too.
breakthrough that like yeah, it is definitely something that I suggest to people because when you know what you'd like people to feel
Yeah.
on your last day, it makes it easier to like not sweat the small stuff, right? Like
And also not procrastinate.
right.
Let's hop to it.
Well, yeah, yeah, that definitely could see like for you, like saying that happened during meditation, that they had you meditate on death. It's like look at all the books that you've written, look at all the amazing programs that you've created. Like sometimes it is looking at the end to it quantum leaps us forward.
Yeah, I loved it. For me, it was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
near-death experience without having to have a near-death experience,
Yeah.
and to get
Mhm.
that kind of awakening.
Yeah.
Recently, I was exposed to something different where one of my mentors suggested that you write your manifesto. And usually we
Yeah.
think of manifestos as like, what people who commit crimes
Oh
do.
no, I have a manifesto for the business.
Oh, do you?
I love man like I think that's like one of the first things I did. I love writing those. Tell me about
Okay. So not a mission though, but like a
a
manifesto.
manifesto. Yes.
Okay, yeah, so the manifest because it's a little bit similar, it was like 10 things
Yeah.
in the one that I did, and it's actually hanging on my wall right here. It's like 10 things
Love it.
that I believe in. It's almost like
Yeah.
what you would die for, like what you're gonna
Yeah.
take to the grave. So it's kind of the same thing without having to go all the way in with
Yeah, I love
thinking
that.
about the obituary too much.
Well, yeah, because well, right, it's focusing on what we do want. Yeah. The
Yes.
thing with it, I'm just gonna stress this to anyone that's listening. The obituary and the death meditate, that's just to focus on for a moment. We don't want to live there. That's not where we live. We then go to what we do want. That's where we want to focus our attention, right? What we do want.
Well, yeah, but I think it makes you realize how precious your time is.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes and I don't think it's wasting time if you're resting or you're having fun.
Oh, no, no,
But
no.
sometimes we can really put things off that are really important to us
Yeah.
for a long time,
Yeah.
like writing that book or starting that podcast or doing that live or changing jobs or changing relationships or whatever it is that's been
Yeah.
speaking to you for a long time. And you keep thinking, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. And you
Yeah.
don't know how much time you have.
That is so true. Yeah. I
And you
love
were actually talking before about when should somebody work with a coach?
yeah, like a life coach. Like
Yeah,
people because this comes up often where I hear from people, they're very curious about life coaching. It's so mysterious. I, I'm like, and because I'm a business coach, I think that there's less mystery, but you're
yeah.
a life, so I'm like, okay, we all cross over into different things, but I think there's a lot of mystique around life coaching. So I'd love for you to break it down for us.
Yeah, and that's perfect because people, when they don't know how to start a business or they don't know how to run a business, they know that they don't know.
Right.
But with life, we don't know when we don't know.
Right.
But
It's like when things aren't working, what do you do? Like
right,
that,
right.
you know, and so but sometimes people don't know that it's not working.
Well, it comes back to that same part that we were talking about. If that's why they're scared of the obituary, or maybe they're scared of the manifesto because then they're going to have to come face to face with the things that they want that they're not working on or that they're not achieving. So a good way to know if you need a life coach, or I like to use the word transformational coach because I think it's all about the transformation,
Yeah.
is to know if there are things that you want that you don't have. And maybe you've been working on something for a year or 5 years or 10 years. Maybe you've been thinking about changing the job, or you've been thinking about changing the relationship, or you've been thinking that you're not having enough fun. It's interesting when I meet with clients, the first time I talk about the eight main life areas. And there's different ways. Sometimes you'll see like the life wheel, or something like that. But I would love to share the eight main life areas if
Yeah, please. I would love
because I
that.
think the first time I saw it, I was like, I thought I only had four life areas. Like sometimes we're missing
Yeah.
a
The
lot.
the life wheel. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's really important. So yeah, share.
Yeah, so the first one is mental health and personal development, right? So, do we feel good and healthy mentally? And also, are we investing time in our personal development? Because it doesn't happen automatically. So, are we, invested in that? Of course, the next is relationships, which can be everybody: work, home, coworkers, kids, the whole gamut. People are very aware of relationships,
Yeah, they know that's where all the line man, the
the landmines.
landmines, that's where they all live, right? They know that.
Yeah, they're very aware about relationships. They're very aware about money, and they're
Right.
very aware about health.
Yeah.
What people don't think, or at least physical health, what they often don't think about is spirituality. Do you have a spiritual life? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be like going to church every week or even be a part of a religion. But do you have a way to connect your non physical self with the non physical world around you? It could be meditation, it could be walking in nature, but something to acknowledge yourself as more than just, flesh and bones.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think I gave you most. I mean, the other one I talked about money, which I never
Mhm.
have to remind people about that. The other one is occupation. How are you spending your time? And for most of
Yeah.
us, it's working. For some people, it could be volunteering or working from home. Um, and then beyond that, it's fun.
Mhm.
Are you having fun? Are we having fun yet?
I think we're having fun. I did a dance party today. I've been really good lately. Um, about every time I enter a room, I'm like, woohoo. And so
I
my
like
kids
it.
are like, my kids are home from school today. There's an ice storm here. So they're like, oh, she's still doing that. So yeah, I just have tried to find different ways to put more fun in my day because I used to be like, oh, once I get this done, I can do this.
Right.
And I felt like I was always
There's
putting
always
fun,
something.
like putting the fun off. And then I realized for a long time that like I think work's pretty fun. Like I like to get focused and get in there and get some stuff done. Um, but not everybody else thinks it's as much fun. So they didn't think I was
I
having.
love my work too, but I don't put that in the fun column, Tracy.
Yeah. So like people like you observe that it's not that much fun. So I was like, oh, okay. So I need it. So, anyways, I've also been doing some singing. And I really find like singing and yoga, dancing, singing, just having
Hmm.
a dance party in the middle of the day. Those are ways I incorporate it. But I think I need to do like more like fun trips that are just like for fun.
Yeah, I think anything that's
Yeah.
purely for fun,
Yeah.
like I love yoga, I love hiking. I just signed up for a race because I haven't been running for like a long time, but I signed up for this thing. I'm like, ooh, I want to be out there Saturday morning. I love taking the drive and everything. But just what you like I like to paint. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I want to play around with some charcoal, some pencils, which I haven't done
Mhm.
before. I want to learn how to do portraits.
Yeah.
Um,
Exciting.
but sometimes it's just something that is just for that. It's
Yeah.
not, I'm doing portraits because I'm going to become a portrait person or sell portraits. It
I
could
know.
just be for my own enjoyment.
So we have to turn, yeah, that's funny because my brain automatically goes like, oh, well, you're so good at that. You could make that a business. And so, right, it
You
is
could.
I have to turn it off and be like, okay, this is just for fun. Like, like Anthony and I did a cooking class like a couple weeks ago just for fun. Um, and I'm there, I'm like making ideas, like, oh, we should do this, we could make this. And he's like, we're just here for
Just
fun.
relax. Yeah.
takes me a minute too. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think
be
that's
where you are. You are here. The last one I didn't give the last of the main life areas, and that is your physical environment. So it could be your home or your office, like if you actually go into an office. But do you have things at home that you want to get to that you're not getting to? A lot of people struggle with clutter, or they want to clean, or they want to manage their home differently. They want to organize. So
yeah,
just it's great to work with a coach when you have things that you want to get done that you're not getting done. And I think, many times we kind of know when we have a block. We know when there's something that's keeping us from going through the old photographs or
mm,
keeping us from going to the gym. Like we kind of have a sense that there's a block there, and a
yeah,
coach can help you find your way around it.
yeah. So do you have any suggestions about how someone can like find a life coach that's like that would be best for them?
That's excuse me. Um, the best way to find a life coach, I don't know. Go to my website and check it out and see if you want to schedule a clarity call and we can figure out if maybe I'm a good person for you. I mean, other than that, there's places like Yelp, you can Google, see who shows up for you. I think that when you're choosing someone, you definitely do want to talk to them first, do some kind of consultation to make sure that they're the right energy, the right personality for you, and that they can do what you're looking for. So some coaches, like me, I'm also certified as an executive coach. So I can help people, with career transitions, with trying to get a promotion at work, those kind of things, with leadership. Versus some other coaches, I know there are coaches who specialize in things like ADHD, which if that's your thing, you might want someone who is, specifically in that realm. Although it's important to remember we're not clinicians. Excuse me, we're not therapists, um, so you may have someone who is helping you with your mental health in addition to working with the coach who can help with accountability, procrastination, helping you focus, and helping you really work past any mental barriers that you have. And I have to say, it wasn't until I started working with coaches that I realized all of my mental blocks, because a lot of times you can't see why you're not getting the thing that you want.
Yeah, like it's kind of like it's in the shadows. It's like not really right there, right? Oftentimes you can see it. I always say that it's really interesting how you can clearly see what everyone else in the world needs to improve about themselves. However,
It's so
you
true.
don't always own like, oh, here's the fingers pointing back at me. So I always think it's important that if you want, no matter what you're doing, if you want to go to the next level, there's always somebody who has done it. So it's like ask yourself, who could help me with this? And oftentimes you'll find amazing, coaches like Trish and other people that have done what you want to do. So I think that that's really important. The one thing I want to just add as a note of caution, this is just something I say all the time. When someone tells you that their way is the only way to do something, you should just make sure that's energy that you want to be around because I really, really am trying to raise the bar for the the self improvement industry as a whole, right? That's what Trish and I are here to do, like raise the bar for that. And it's our personal responsibility to do what's best for each client and not force people to do it like one specific way. So, another helpful question is, how's that working for you? That's what I would always say to people. How is it working for you? Because when people walk you through, like Trish just gave us all of these juicy tidbits of how amazing, she just followed her intuition. Like, oh, this wasn't working. So I did this. This didn't work. And then now here you are, this life coach that's literally living this mind blowing happiness life. But like, that's the thing. Like, that's really valuable. Where I think sometimes, people just put up a sign saying life coach. Like, I don't want anyone to go to those people.
Yeah. Yeah. And life coaches need to invest in themselves as well.
We're
But
always like we're raising the level. Like that's the point, right? We're here collectively to help each other get better and grow. And we have to deal with our blind spots.
yeah, and they're they're not easy. Like when you were saying it's easy for us to see other people because we have, it's like seeing the forest for the trees. Like we are 3,000 feet away, so we can really see what's going on in someone else's life. But in our own life, when we're trying to do this internal look, we have a really hard time seeing like the blade of grass that's right in front of our nose. So
Yeah.
it's a different process
Yeah.
to unearth things that are going on with you than it is. It's so easy to look at other people and tell them what they should do, though, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think one of the things that makes you such a like just such an intuitive, amazing life coach is that you know how to like ask those questions that help people go deeper. So it's beyond you, like you're not telling them what to do. You're helping them
No.
see that they already have the answers. And I love that about you. So,
Yeah, and it also depends how you engage with me because, the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness behind me is a whole path to this idea of a self-actualized life, where you are um, living with passion, you've identified your purpose, you're feeling really fulfilled, you're steeped in this sense of knowing who you are and knowing what you're put here for, and you're just kind of walking in it like like you and me are,
like,
like walking in
hey,
the
yeah.
sunshine, but it wasn't easy to get here. So that path is there, and that is really, that's more consulting work when I'm working with people and I'm really giving them content. But you're
Yeah.
right, coaching in general is me kind of drawing out from you the wisdom because we know so much. The problem is a lot of times we never sit still long enough or ask ourselves the questions that we need to ask ourselves to draw out, the wisdom in our decision making and our path forward. So yeah, that's
Oh, I
that's what
love
I help clients do.
I love that. So Trish, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Like you're just so brilliant. We just really appreciate that. Do you have any like fun projects or anything you're working on right now?
I do. So one of the big things I'm working on now, I have a new book out. It's called The Anger Myth: Understanding and Overcoming the Mental Habits That Steal Your Joy. And I remember when I first started working with one of the editors on this book, she's like, "It's a mental habit? I don't think of anger as a mental habit." Well, that's why you need to read the book.
Because
Because
because it is.
yeah, I mean, we're going to have emotions, of course, but it's the habit that goes into play. How do you respond when things don't go your way? The reality is things are not always going to go your way if you are a human on this planet. The day that I
Like,
meet someone where everything works out every day, every moment, then I'll just be like, wow. But
yeah,
we all
like
have stuff.
but then that would be boring too. That's so
What's
funny.
true too?
You asked the question of like, how do you respond when things don't go your way? And literally, my visual picture, and I say that all the time, is Maleficent the dragon. That is who I am when I'm angry. So I really try not to get there. I try to catch it much earlier.
And that's what it's about. It's catching it
Reprogram. Yeah.
and then
Like
processing.
if I see a Maleficent the dragon coming in, and like it's kind of smoky, I have to like change gears.
Yeah, Maleficent will get you in trouble.
Oh, right.
And we were talking about procrastination, right? So now you get yourself in trouble. Now you need another whole 2 weeks to fix whatever you
Right.
create.
You should blow it up.
You
Right.
just, yeah, you lose a lot of time.
Well, and it's interesting because when I look back at my life before I knew any of this, before I knew I was choosing my response, like before I knew that, because it was just like I was playing the blame game, but I didn't know it was called the blame game then. I was just
Right.
doing what everybody else was doing around me. And when I realized I'm like, oh, I really I had like it triggered a dark night of the soul for me that like I had to like really mourn all those times I was angry and I thought through just relationships that I,
Mm-hmm.
you
I
know,
blew up.
yeah, just things that were and when I learned to put it in focus of you can choose something else and you can,
Hmm.
like what's a different alternative that I mean, that really changed my life. So I love that you wrote
It's
a book
huge.
specifically about that because I think so many people don't even know
Yeah, they don't.
that they have a choice. Like they're like, well, I don't know, that person made me angry. No, like you have a choice.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You have a choice. I would love your audience can go on the website,
Okay.
theangermyth.com. There's a little 2-minute quiz on there. You can find out your anger quotient. And there's also a book trailer. It's about a 2-minute trailer, but we worked really hard on it. I think you'll have a lot of fun checking that out. And of course, if you want to get a copy of the book, and you can get a copy there. And
Yeah.
I am working on book reviews. I'm trying to get to 100. So if you do go
Oh
ahead and get a
yeah.
copy of the book, make sure to leave a review on Amazon.
Absolutely. It's a great book. I did review it. It's amazing. It's a great book. And I'll make sure that's included in our show notes so that everybody can go grab it.
All right,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Trish, before we wrap up today, what is one thing that you would share that you feel like it's absolutely like almost illegal that you know this? It's like that type of business secret. I like to ask people like, what's that one business secret that like, oh, this is a juicy little tidbit.
Oh gosh, a juicy business secret tidbit. I think the biggest one is to be authentic. Like I worked corporate for a long time. I know a lot of people struggle with that as entrepreneurs. We're trying to figure out our branding and how we should show up. And I think the biggest tidbit is to figure out how you can actually be yourself. I remember my first photo shoot. I was like, should I have this? Should I have that? And I ended up there. I had my Buddha statue, I had my mala beads, I had my yoga stuff and my corporate stuff. And I just had all the things so that I could fully express who I am and
Yeah.
not feel like I had to hide it because that's what people want. They want like a whole person. So that was a
Yeah.
long tidbit, but that's my tidbit.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you so much for being here with us. It's been a pleasure as always. And I will make sure that the link is there so that people can go grab the Inger Myth. And I just want to thank you again so much, Trish. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Tracy. It was wonderful being here. Bye bye.
Thank you.